Another attorney commercial with big promises? Millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Hey there, crew. Time to talk the extended forecast here, and I'm going to focus on kind of the back part of next week toward next weekend, because eventually we'll get a pattern change where this big trough over the eastern U.S. starts to break down and we start to shift the energy over the western U.S., which is good news if you're in a place that wants some snow. So we'll take a look at that here. We'll put things into motion with our computer, and you'll start to see waves rotating around the back side of this trough. As we head into the middle part of the week. Still could have our temperatures yo-yoing a little bit here as we move through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll have to see how much of that chilly air gets in here. But then you see black lines over the western U.S. start to shift off to the south. And that's the indication of the pattern change that starts to develop. So we head into Friday here, and we'll have to watch how this actually breaks down, how far south we start to get some energy here. Strongest jet stream is off to the east here, so I'm hoping we don't get too windy here as we head toward the back part of the week. But I do think we're going to start to pick up some snow for the mountains. And man, do we need it in a big way. What we'll also watch is there a southern system that kind of gets caught up in the flow here at some point as we head toward the back part of next weekend? Again, we're getting out into the future here, about a week, nearing a week. So I'm not going to get hung up on the details. I'm just looking for pattern changes here. And you can see that, there is the possibility that maybe we get a little bit of moisture east of the mountains. We should start to get colder as well, but there is a hiccup with this because it's going to be some very, very shallow but chilly air. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. We're going to go from Thursday into the weekend. The coldest air is off to our northeast. And I have, the colors taken off of some of this because I just want to watch the western edges of this, what should be Arctic air that, again, probably the coldest stuff, thankfully, stays off to our northeast. But as we head into Friday, we'll get some shallow air to move into eastern Colorado. And notice how the model, even a week out, is picking up on the Palmer Divide and the Raton Mesa getting out of that air mass and the river valleys staying in it. So that makes for some tough forecasting. But that's what we'll watch for here for the rest of the week. And sometimes that's kind of all we can do here is give you a heads up for these patterns. Now, good news, coldest air should stay off to our northeast, but we'll have to wrestle with that and obviously get a better handle as things get a little bit closer. So some yo-yoing on the temps here. Wednesday we'll get sideswiped by one of those chillier air masses, and then we probably come down Friday. And temperature-wise, don't get hung up here on what I've got, but I want to show you Friday because I put a lot of work into that first day here. When we get this colder air that sometimes is only a couple thousand feet deep to come into the area, because locations up against the hills and at higher elevation may have some pretty big differences from what we'll have here at the lower elevation. Sometimes the north part of Colorado Springs is quite a bit warmer than the southern end. Woodland Park can end up warmer than Colorado Springs as these air masses come and kiss the foothills and then kind of erode off to the east. And sometimes they do some sloshing back and forth. So that's something that we'll watch for. Sometimes you get places like Canyon City and Walsenburg that end up quite a bit warmer than Pueblo and the River Valley across parts of the plains. So up against the hills, we may get a little bit of wind on Tuesday on one of our warmer days before the temperatures come back down a little bit for Wednesday. And then, Friday, could we be about 20 degrees warmer in Walsenburg than maybe La Junta or something like that? It's a possibility, and it's something I'll watch. Thanks for watching Peaks to Plains.